Introduction. The Ugly Man in the Death Cell. The year is 399 BC. We are in a cold stone prison cell in Athens. The sun is setting, casting long shadows across the floor. Inside, a group of grown men are weeping uncontrollably. They are witnessing the final moments of their beloved teacher, but the man in the center of the room is not crying. In fact, he is the only calm person there. He is short, pot-bellied, with bulging eyes and a snub nose. By all accounts, a physically repulsive man. He holds a cup of deadly hemlock poison as if it were a glass of wine at a banquet. This is Sokrates. And in a few moments, he will die by his own hand, executed by the city he loved. How did a man who never wrote a single word, who owned no property and commanded no armies, become such a threat that the state decided he had to cease to exist?
The Stonecutter's Son and the Midwife of Souls. To understand his death, we must understand his life. Socrates was born into the golden age of Athens, but he didn't fit the mold. His father was a stonecutter, and his mother was a midwife. This detail is crucial. Socrates often joked that he simply continued his mother's trade. "My mother delivered babies," he would say, "but I delivered the souls of men of their ideas." He called this the maieutic method. He believed the truth was already inside you. He just helped you push it out through painful questioning. While he trained as a stonecutter, he abandoned the chisel to sculpt human minds instead. He walked the streets barefoot, wearing the same tattered robe summer and winter, refusing to accept money for his teaching. This infuriated the sophists, paid teachers who sold knowledge like a product. Socrates gave it away for free, which made him dangerous. He wasn't selling answers. He was giving away doubt.
The oracle's curse and the mission, the turning point of his life, and the beginning of his end, came from a single sentence. His impulsive friend Chaerephon journeyed to the oracle of Delphi and asked, "Is there anyone wiser than Socrates?" The priestess replied, "No one is wiser." When Socrates heard this, he was terrified. He knew he was ignorant. To prove the god wrong, he set out to find someone smarter than himself. He questioned politicians, poets, and craftsmen, but he found a terrifying truth. They all thought they were wise, but were actually ignorant. Socrates realized the oracle was right in a twisted way. "I am the wisest," he concluded, "because I alone know that I know nothing." This mission to expose the ignorance of the powerful earned him a new nickname, the gadfly. Just as a horsefly bites a lazy horse to wake it up, Socrates bit into the ego of Athens to keep it awake.
The trance and the inner voice. Socrates was not just an intellectual. He was strange. He spoke of a daimonion, a divine inner voice. Unlike a conscience that tells you what to do, this voice only told him what not to do. It was a divine brake pedal. This eccentricity went further. During the siege of Potidaea, while serving as a soldier, Socrates did something impossible. One morning, he started thinking about a problem. He stood still. Noon came, he was still there. Night fell, the other soldiers brought out their bedding to watch him. He stood there, motionless, barefoot in the freezing cold, for 24 straight hours until the sun rose the next day. Then, he simply said a prayer to the sun and walked away. This wasn't just philosophy. It was a terrifying level of mental discipline. He could separate his mind from his body completely.
The trial, asking for free lunch instead of mercy. By the time he was 70, Athens had had enough. The charges were fabricated, corrupting the youth and impiety. A jury of 500 citizens gathered. They expected him to beg, to cry, to bring his wife and children to plead for mercy. Instead, Socrates lectured them. He dismantled his accusers with logic. When found guilty by a narrow margin, the law allowed him to propose a counterpenalty. He could have asked for exile. They would have accepted it. Instead, Socrates pulled the ultimate prank. He told the jury, "Since I have spent my life helping you become virtuous, I think I deserve the same reward as an Olympic victor, free meals for life at the Prytaneum." The jury was furious. They voted for death by a larger margin than they had for his guilt. He forced them to kill him.
The cure for life. And so we return to the cell. The jailer, weeping, hands him the poison. Socrates drinks it without hesitation. He walks around until his legs feel heavy, then lies down. The numbness creeps from his feet to his heart. He uncovers his face for one last sentence, a sentence that has puzzled philosophers for millennia. He says, "Crito, we owe a cock to Asclepius. Pay it and do not neglect it." Asclepius was the god of medicine. You sacrifice a rooster when you recover from an illness. Socrates was saying that life, with all its confusion and bodily needs, is a sickness. And death? Death is the cure. With that final riddle, the father of Western philosophy closed his eyes, leaving us to question everything forever.
If Socrates were alive today, you carry the sum of all human knowledge in your pocket devices, yet you use them to look at pictures of cats and argue with strangers. You are drowning in information but starving for wisdom. You call yourselves a democracy, yet you vote for the politicians who tell you the sweetest lies rather than the bitter truths. You treat the ship of state like a popularity contest. I see you running to gymnasiums to sculpt your bodies, terrified of a wrinkle or a flabby arm. But your souls are atrophied and ugly, and you feel no shame. Your cancel culture is simply the digital version of my trial. You silence the people who ask uncomfortable questions because you are too fragile to debate them. You believe you are free because you can buy anything you want, but you are slaves to your debts, your notifications, and your need for validation. Artificial intelligence will give you all the answers, but it will never know how to ask the right question. It is the ultimate sophist, knowing everything without understanding anything. You define happiness by what you consume, whereas I defined it by how little I needed. He who is content with the least is nearest to the gods. Your education system teaches young people what to think, not how to think. You are mass-producing parrots, not philosophers. You fear death as if it were the greatest evil, yet you waste your lives on trivialities as if you were going to live forever. I was the gadfly of Athens. Today, your world is a sleeping horse so drugged by entertainment that not even a swarm of gadflies could wake it.